Have you ever stood amidst the bustling noise of modern life, surrounded by the glittering promises of fulfillment, the constant chorus urging you towards more, towards better, towards an elusive state we collectively label happiness, only to feel a quiet, persistent, perhaps even aching sense of emptiness? A void that no new possession, no fleeting thrill, no social accolade seems to truly fill? If this resonates, you are far from alone. Welcome to Existential Psychology Insights. Before we delve deeper into this profound human experience, if you find yourself seeking understanding on the big questions of life, meaning, and the human condition, please consider subscribing to our channel and clicking the notification bell. We aim to explore these territories with the depth they deserve. Today, we embark on an exploration of this very existential void. We are not here to offer quick fixes or simplistic solutions because, from an existential perspective, this feeling of emptiness, this perceived lack, is not merely a symptom to be eradicated, but potentially a profound signal. A call from the deeper self to examine the very foundations upon which we are attempting to build our lives and our understanding of what it means to be truly fulfilled. Our modern age, for all its technological marvels and material abundance, seems to breed a peculiar kind of discontent. We are relentlessly marketed an image of happiness, a vibrant, smiling, perpetually content state, often tied to external achievements, possessions, or idealized experiences. We see it on our screens, in advertisements, in the curated highlight reels of social media. And so, we chase. We chase the next promotion, the perfect relationship, the flawless vacation, the ideal body, the approval of others. We become consumers, not just of goods, but of experiences, all in pursuit of this standardized, externally validated happiness. But what if this very pursuit is part of the problem? What if the happiness we are conditioned to chase is largely an illusion, a mirage that recedes the closer we get? Existential psychology and philosophy have long grappled with this. Thinkers from Kierkegaard to Frankl, from Camus to Yalom, have suggested that a life focused solely on the attainment of pleasurable states or the avoidance of discomfort is a life that may ultimately feel shallow, devoid of the robust sense of meaning that truly sustains us. The feeling of emptiness often arises when there is a disconnect between our actions and our deepest, most authentic values. It can surface when we live inauthentically, performing a role dictated by societal expectations rather than by an inner compass. When we silence our own inner voice to conform, when we choose the path of least resistance over the path that aligns with our core convictions, a part of us recognizes this incongruence. This recognition, this inner tension, can manifest as that gnawing sense of void. Consider the relentless pursuit of external validation. If our self-worth is tethered to the number of likes we receive, the praise from our superiors, or the envy of our peers, we are building our house on sand. These external sources are fickle, impermanent. When they inevitably shift or disappear, what remains? Often, a stark awareness of an internal deficit, a realization that the self we have constructed for public consumption lacks genuine substance. This is the breeding ground for the existential void. Furthermore, the modern emphasis on constant distraction and busyness can serve as a powerful anesthetic against confronting this emptiness. We fill every spare moment with stimuli, social media feeds, endless entertainment, a frantic activity. We become, as some philosophers might argue, absent from our own lives, too busy doing to truly be. But the void, like a persistent shadow, cannot be outrun indefinitely. In moments of quiet, in the spaces between distractions, it often reemerges, reminding us that something fundamental is missing. So, if the relentless pursuit of a certain kind of happiness often leads to this very emptiness, what is the alternative? Existential thought doesn't offer a simple prescription for happiness. Instead, it shifts the focus towards meaning. Meaning is not something passively found like a lost object. It is something actively created, forged through our choices, our commitments, our engagement with the world, and our response to life's inherent challenges.
Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, famously argued that the primary human drive is not pleasure, but the discovery and pursuit of what we personally find meaningful. He observed that even in the most horrific circumstances, those who held on to a sense of purpose, a reason to live, were more likely to endure. This suggests that meaning is a far more resilient and sustaining force than the fleeting highs of conventional happiness. Creating meaning involves confronting, rather than avoiding, the fundamental realities of our existence, what existentialists call the givens. These include the inevitability of death, our profound freedom to choose, and the attendant responsibility, our ultimate aloneness, in the sense that no one can live our life or die our death for us, and the apparent lack of inherent, preordained meaning in the universe. These truths can be daunting, anxiety-provoking. It is understandable why we might seek to distract ourselves from them. Yet it is often in the courageous confrontation of these realities that the deepest sources of meaning are found. Acknowledging our finitude, for instance, can imbue our present moments with a profound sense of preciousness and urgency. If life is not infinite, then how we choose to spend our limited time becomes a question of immense significance. It can motivate us to pursue what truly matters, to invest in relationships, to contribute to something larger than ourselves, rather than squandering our days on trivialities. Embracing our freedom and responsibility is another cornerstone. While the weight of knowing that we are the authors of our lives can be heavy, it is also profoundly empowering. It means we are not merely puppets of circumstance. We have the capacity to choose our responses, to define our values, and to shape our character through our actions. Meaning arises not from a life devoid of struggle, but from a life where we actively engage with those struggles, making choices that align with our authentic selves. An authentic life, while not always happy in the conventional sense, is almost always a meaningful one. And what of connection? While existential thought acknowledges a fundamental aloneness, it also emphasizes the profound importance of genuine human connection. Not superficial networking, but deep, empathetic relationships where we feel seen, understood, and valued, and where we offer the same to others. Contributing to the well-being of others, engaging in acts of love and compassion can be one of the most powerful sources of meaning. It's also crucial to recognize the subtle ways our society might encourage a kind of stupidity in this context, an unthinking acceptance of superficial goals, a collective avoidance of deeper existential questions. When a culture prioritizes consumption over contemplation, or conformity over critical thought, it inadvertently fosters the conditions for widespread existential emptiness. Challenging these unthinking norms, both within ourselves and in our communities, becomes a vital part of the search for meaning. So, the journey away from the existential void is not a sprint towards a fixed destination called happiness. It is rather a continuous process of engagement, creation, and confrontation. It involves self-reflection, taking the time to genuinely ask ourselves what matters to us, what our core values are, and whether our lives reflect these. Conscious choice, recognizing our freedom and taking responsibility for the decisions we make, understanding that each choice contributes to the meaning or lack thereof in our lives. Purposeful engagement, finding activities, causes, or relationships that resonate with our deepest selves and investing our energy in them. This could be creative pursuits, service to others, intellectual exploration, or spiritual practice. Acceptance, accepting the inherent uncertainties and challenges of life, including our own imperfections and the reality of suffering, without succumbing to despair. Cultivating presence. Learning to be more fully present in our daily lives, appreciating the small moments, and reducing our preoccupation with past regrets or future anxieties. This path is not always easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. But the alternative, a life haunted by a persistent sense of emptiness, a life spent chasing an ever-receding mirage of happiness, is surely a far greater burden to bear. So the existential void is not a curse, but an invitation. An invitation to stop the frantic chase, to turn inward, and to begin the profound, challenging, and ultimately rewarding work of creating a life rich with authentic meaning.